Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement with best-selling author and fiduciary Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
As of the date of this recording, March 17th, 2020, as we watch and witness the coronavirus wreak havoc and downright panic to consumers, government officials, and of course as a result a crashing stock market, we should be starkly reminded of how dangerous a financial world we live in. Because not only is this world and all that it contains unpredictable, but the reaction to the uncertainty that life can bring can result in a sort of paralysis that we don't know what to do, or in some cases we panic and follow the herd and do all sorts of crazy things. And as we'll see today, with all of this chaos and uncertainty going on in the world right now, there's good news as it relates to you and your money, and of course how best to position it from financial pandemics such as this one. Of course, today we're going to flip the switch and tell you why you have to put in place a plan of spending your money while you still can, instead of just saving it for some random event or time in the future. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and I am that little man in the sweater vest, saving and spending specialist, Tony Walker. And before we get started, let me introduce, as always, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. I feel good, feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we had our whopping, 62 registrants for a workshop last night. By the way, folks, I know some people are probably saying, well, gosh, Tony, why were you in the middle of hosting a workshop? Well, first of all, we started planning our workshop last night in Louisville and one in E-Town. We're going to cancel E-Town, of course, tonight, but we planned that thing months in advance and had spent thousands of dollars advertising it. So we followed all the CDC guidelines and all that, made sure it was going to be under 50. Then at the last minute, Aaron, on the way over there, they announced, well, wait a minute, you can't have more than 10 people. Did you hear that announcement?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Well, then we thought, well, now, what in the heck are we going to do? Because we had 62 registered. Generally, we have about, 60% attendance anyway, so we knew we'd be under 50. But I guess, thank God, we only had 5 people show up last night. Actually, it was a good group. You recorded that. By the way, folks, if you'd like to watch the presentation, we're always thinking around here, always thinking, aren't we, Aaron? It's just we have these marketing meetings, and we decided, hey, wait a minute. We're probably not going to have many people at this workshop. It was, if you're just now joining us, we're recording this show on March 17th. We had the workshop in Louisville called the Ages and Stages of Retirement last night in Louisville. And a lot of people expected to come, but we thought, wait a minute. Now that this coronavirus has hit, what are we going to do? Probably not a lot of people. Probably a lot of people want to see this new information. So Aaron showed up with his camera and we recorded it. So what we're going to do, it is ready right now, folks. By the time the show's on, it's going to be ready. If you want to watch last night's presentation, it's my newest presentation of the Ages and Stages in Retirement. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. What you're going to do there is click on Educational Opportunities. And the menu bar up there, just click on that. It'll pop up Educational Opportunities. You click on that, and then it goes to the blog page. There's a blog post that my favorite son-in-law Trey stuck on there, and you can watch the workshop in its entirety. As of this date, we haven't totally edited it out. We're going to edit it down, try to get it down as close in timing as we can so it won't bore you to death. There's a lot of kind of fluff in between. But and do you think the question and answer session, Aaron, do you think we can get that on as you're editing that? Was that pretty good, do you think?
We can put on whatever you want. Yeah, sure. We can keep that on there.
Yeah, and at the end, although we only had 5 people there, great audience, and we had them strategically spaced apart. Folks, don't worry, they weren't all bundled up in a huddle. But anyway, at the end, had some really good questions. And we'll be talking about this today. We're talking about flipping the switch from saving to spending. And so we're kind of doing this in reverse because I thought what we would do is take the workshop last night and talk about that first, because it was very interesting after the information I shared and knowing that the stock market has taken a real beating. Obviously, nobody knows and can time the market and know what it's going to do or when it's going to come back, which I feel relatively sure in the next few months it's going to start coming back as hopefully this whole virus scare and pandemic, kind of fades into the sunset, hopefully. But anyway, the thing that I noticed, Aaron, and you were filming, so maybe you didn't pick up on this, after going through our entire workshop, what was the one thing that everybody in there said they were missing? Not only were they missing some money in their 401k, but did you catch that? What everybody agreed they were missing in their life right now?
The first thing I heard was, a guy just flat out said, "I'm missing a game plan. I'm missing a written down game plan of what I'm going to do in case of fill in the blank."
That's right. And everybody nodded in agreement. And this is why years ago, folks, I created a 5-step process. Again, we're not going to turn this into an infomercial just yet, but I think this is important to understand. The reason I created the 5-step process back after 9/11, because that process was born out of 9/11. Does that make sense, Aaron?
Yeah.
I mean, in 9/11, we went through the same thing. We went through panic. We went through uncertainty. Looking back on that period of time, it was actually even worse because we had a terrorist attack on our soil. That never really happened, I guess not since, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor or whatever. But, talk about uncertainty. And for 3 years, the stock market was down. It wasn't just for a few months or a year. This was 3 years of down times in terms of a stock market where people had been, for the first time in their life, really depending on that stock market. Really up until 9/11, most people didn't have a lot of money in the stock market. 401ks were just starting to gain a lot of steam. So all of a sudden I realized as a retirement planner, Aaron, that I'm thinking, wait a minute, all I'm doing is sitting here throwing people's money in the market. Maybe had a few annuities thrown in there, but I didn't have any game plan for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I had to understand that I'd been trained in financial planning. I'd gone through all the certified financial planning stuff and all that nonsense. That didn't teach me anything about retirement planning. They are two totally different worlds. Financial planning and retirement planning, folks, are totally different worlds. But after 9/11, Aaron, what was interesting, I didn't know where to turn. There wasn't any curriculum about retirement planning. There wasn't anything to teach advisors on how to construct retirement game plans. Nobody really understood retirement in terms of spending and taxes because very few people had retired under the 401k system. See, most people were still working. You get it? You
Okay.
with me? Yeah. So this was something I finally just said, I'm going to create my own system. So I created what's called the Worry-Free Retirement Process. Started working on it right after 9/11, wrote a book about it called Perfecting Your Walk in Retirement. I quickly changed the name of that to the Worry-Free Retirement. So really I've got 2 books out there that were written. They're the same book, folks. So don't purchase Perfecting Your Walk and the Worry-Free Retirement. And inside it's the same galley. But I had to change the name up because nobody understood what the heck Perfecting Your Walk was all about. So now we fast forward, and here we are. We've got another, quote, crisis on our hands, and this too shall pass. But this one's different, and I'm not going to get into anything political. I'm not a big person that likes to talk politics. But I will say this. I think it is interesting, Aaron, that if you go back in time, that little chart we're going to show on the TV show, all the different viruses. I talked about this last night in the workshop. This is not the first virus to hit this country. Can you name any of the other ones? One or two? Do you remember?
Oh, I remember. Several years ago we had the swine flu and the bird flu, and those are the only 2 animals I can think of, But, there was a big SARS scare back in the early 2000s, and that was... I don't remember the grocery stores being as out of control as they are right now, but I remember seeing things on the news about people stockpiling things, and, you're right. It's not the first time we've been through this, so hopefully we'll get through it.
Yeah, and I guess my concern is maybe the government officials, I don't want to talk negatively about government officials because they may know some things we really don't. They're probably, this could be a virus unlike any they've seen. I don't know. But my point is, why in the world have we literally shut down our whole economy? So as a fiduciary, you've got to understand my position. I'm a fiduciary. I'm trying to look out for my client's best interest. And thankfully, we don't have a lot of money in the stock market for most of our clients, unless some of them so choose to do. We work with savers, but I'm sitting here trying to give advice to my clients, Aaron, and I've never seen an economy shut down. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if take the economy, the economic equation out of it, let's just take the virus itself. I can go back and look at what's happened to the stock market in past viruses. That's a fact. You with me?
Yep.
And I've seen how the government and officials have reacted in the past and subsequently the market. So it's not that scary of a thing to me. But now when you come in with this virus and the government decides to shut down things and businesses decide to close, see what I mean? I don't know what that is going to look like on the back end. So even if we come out of the virus, let's say in 3 or 4 months and it's all over with and this is a distant memory, well, let's pick on Disney World because I like Disney World. I mean, Disney World shut down.
Hey, you were supposed to go.
I was supposed to go this coming weekend. Me and my brother Marty, I was treating him to golf down in Disney World. We're going to play some golf, brother. Well, I canceled. So did millions of other people. Plus Disney not only, is cutting back, they closed its doors. So what is that going to do? Now we're getting back to the stock market, to the stock price of Disney after they come through this and then they reopen. Maybe they've had a month or two without any earnings going through those gates.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Right.
So, folks, when we come, we're setting the stage. We are talking about things we cannot control. And when I come back, I'm going to talk to you about things you can control. Something I've been doing for years and years and years. It's called the worry-free retirement, and this concept of the 3 halves of life and how to position your money. This is a new little concept I've come up with called the 4 needs of money. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. We care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Let me ask you a question, Aaron. I'll ask you this question. I love putting Aaron on the spot. Folks, we do not role play this show. We don't get together ahead of time and talk about it. Aaron's sitting over in a seat right now drinking a bottled water, making notes, and he's probably wondering, oh gosh, what's Tony going to ask me next? So here's your question.
Time to pay attention. Okay, go for it.
Wake up. Okay. What is the main goal of you working your whole life? You're a hard worker, and you're trying to save money for retirement. Is the goal to have some magical amount of money at some magical day and maybe you never spend it? Or is the goal to one day use that money while you still can and spend and enjoy it? Why are you even saving money? Think about that a minute.
Okay, if you would have asked me this question 5 or 6 years ago, I would have said A. I would have said, well, I'm supposed to just have this magical number that, I carry around like a briefcase. And, just in case things like this happen. But the more I listen to you, money is made to be used and enjoyed.
Yeah, very good. So with that, there's a balancing act. So folks, before
Right.
you just go out, and Aaron, you know this, before you just rush out and spend your money, that's not what we're saying. But in my latest book, by the way, which hit the bestseller list with Amazon, we thank you for that. And it's available in paperback now on Amazon.com. But Live Well, Die Broke is really kind of a culmination of not only my life, growing up as a lower middle class kid of divorced parents in Lexington, Kentucky, and having little understanding of finances. Had a lot of intuition about money, but I didn't know much about money. But all of a sudden getting in this business in 1984, and now, Aaron, I just hit my milestone, over 15,000 people I've seen in person. And here's the key. Remember we talked, if you're just now joining us, folks, we had a workshop in Louisville last night with a whopping 5 people. We kept it under the CDC guidelines, though, at least. But anyway, in this big room with 5 people all spread out, more than 6 feet apart, by the way. Did I tell you we followed CDC guidelines?
We did.
Okay, good. But anyway, every one of them, after I finished this presentation called The Ages and Stages of Retirement, we talked about the 3 halves of life, which I'm going to get to, and the needs of money, the 4 needs of money, they all said the same thing. We need a written game plan. And basically the second thing that I think they were all agreeing with is what you're saying, Aaron. Tony, I haven't really thought about that. With what's going on, to me, this turmoil, this turbulence is a reminder that you better have your money positioned so you can use and enjoy it. Let's go to the extreme, folks. Think about what's going on here. If you have 100% of your money in the stock market. You know how many people I met yesterday, Aaron? I had a lot of meetings yesterday. People still are coming in individually meeting with me. We're not shaking hands. We're keeping it a distance. It's all good, folks. But I had a lot of meetings yesterday, and every one of them said the same thing. Tony, I'd like to consider getting out of the stock market, but I can't do it now. I'm down 30%,
Right.
which I'd say, well, depending on your circumstances, I wouldn't blanket statement say that's true, but for some of the people, I thought, you probably are going to have to stay in there, right? You cannot, if you don't really need the money now, this is getting into needs. If you don't need the money now, you probably don't need to do anything rash with the stock market. Just, I hate to say this, you're going to have to just hang in there and wait it out. It'll come back. However, we're talking about people retired or nearing retirement, Aaron. So I had a gentleman yesterday that came in. He said, Tony, I'm retired. I've been talking to you for several months. Even though my 401k is down, I want to move it over. And I said, okay, may I ask why? And he said, because, and back to our game plan, we got our game plan out. Here's one sitting right here. We laid it out. He said, Tony, you've showed me that even though I've got a large loss in my 401k, over the past 5 years, he's still up just a little bit, you're right. I mean, in the last year he's lost money, but he's up overall. If we take the money, even as it is right now, put it in our game plan, if he watches his P's and Q's, he's still going to be fine. He can still retire and spend and enjoy his money. Isn't that what it's all about? So folks, what's happening is if you're not careful without a written game plan and without an understanding that you go through these different phases in life, and as Aaron's saying, if you don't realize that money is just to be spent and enjoyed, you will be manipulated all throughout life. You'll be controlled. You'll be left to just, somebody like me have to tell you to hang in there. I saw a gentleman on TV the other day, I won't name his name, he's pretty well known. The market was crashing, and he's on there with this grin on his face. I'm serious, this condescending grin, just telling people to hang in there. And I'm thinking, well, you're probably a multimillionaire. You probably don't even have more than 20% of your money in the market anyway. I bet he doesn't.
Right.
A lot of these people, you got to watch them, Aaron. They won't tell you what they're investing in. Now, they're quick to tell you to put all your money in the market and hang in there. Well, that doesn't do any good for old Joe Lunchbox out here who is planning on retiring in 3 years and has been following this goofy advice to have 100% of the money in the market crashes, and Joe Lunchbox has to keep working. So, folks, you have to have a game plan first. You have to know thyself. You have to decide, wait a minute, am I a saver? Do I want to have all of this money at risk? Or do I want to put some of this money in a position to provide guarantees? That's the business we're in. Now, granted, again, we have some of our clients in the market. They have some of their money in the market. I had 2 meetings yesterday, not fun meetings. People came in. They said, Tony, our accounts are down. I said, yep, they're down. But you got to remember, we've got these annuities over here. We've got some bank savings that we kept. All of that's perfectly fine.
Right.
So in the scheme of things, you know, Mr. Jones, I had to tell him, in the scheme of things, you really have not lost that much money. We still have money positioned that you can use and enjoy anytime. They're like, well, I guess you're right. So our clients hopefully are not caught up in all this panic because they're not 100% immersed in the panic.
And good on you that you're not caught up in the panic either. You know, you're letting people know, just come in and we'll talk.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just not meeting with people and sitting down at a podium and
not answering
saying
the phone.
what you want to say and all right, I'm out of here, you know.
Or coming in with a grin on my face when, this fellow that's got worth millions of dollars and gives people advice, number one, he's not even an investment advisor. He's not a fiduciary. He doesn't have clients. I mean, I can go all around the country, I guess, and do TV shows and write books all day long, but that doesn't make me a retirement specialist. You know why, Aaron? Because if you're not in the trenches with people, meeting with them daily and seeing the looks on their face,
right,
and their fears and their worries, and you're doling out advice in a condescending manner, I'd say shame on you and quit doing that. There's some people out there with real concerns. So our job as retirement planning specialists is to be there for them, but more importantly, not just to sit there and say, hang in there. Our job is to make sure, as we're going into retirement, that we have a game plan that includes some safety, security, and some mailbox money, along with, yes, if you want to take a little bit of risk, some risk. Does that make sense?
Yep.
because we never know when the next turmoil is going to come or the next spending spree is going to come in your life. Oh, by the way, one more. I got some good stories yesterday. I just had the gamut. So I had a few people come in really worried. I had some people not worried. This one lady that came in had lost her spouse a couple of years ago. She's been a client for years. I call her Miss Jones. I said, Miss Jones, so how are you doing? She goes, well, I'm getting used to it. I was married a long time, Tony, and realized though, as I got into singlehood, she's now in her 70s, right? This is called the second half of life. Folks, contrary, if you're 70 or above, you're in the second half, and contrary to what most of the financial world will tell you, unless obviously you had some sort of healthcare crisis, you ain't going to be spending a bunch of money. So quit stockpiling millions of dollars, and trying to live off the crumbs and let them make fees on your money. You don't need that much money. You live in Manhattan, New York, maybe, yeah, but not in Kentucky. It doesn't take that much to live on. But what this person had done a couple of years ago, and I forgot about this, after her husband passed, she said, Tony, I don't think I need all this money. I've got plenty of money. I got my mailbox money. And I said, why don't you start giving some of it away? Get it out of your name. Give it to kids, grandkids. Well, guess what she had done since I last saw her? Giving
money away.
You know how much she gave away? I was real. This excites me. Somewhere between, well, just take a guess. What do you think?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'll just say 50,000.
50. That's higher than I thought you'd guess. Almost $150,000.
Wow.
Now people say, well, I thought you could only give $15,000 per person. No, you can file gift tax returns. I've done this for my kids. You can give more than $15,000 per person away per year, but you do have to file a gift tax return. The exemptions are in the millions. You can give all kinds of money away if you want to, and you can give it away tax-free. This was money she'd already paid taxes on, gives it away tax-free, lives more than 5 years. She goes to a nursing home, nobody can touch it, and she's watching her kids and grandkids enjoy it. What's not to like about that?
Right.
So folks, if you're sitting there and you're all depressed and worried, there are things you can do now. So when I come back, I'm going to throw out a few interesting observations about this down stock market. I will share with you the 4 needs of money, and then I'm actually going to share with you some silver linings that are in all of this bad news. Yes, even for some of you, that your market is down and your accounts are down. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. Really good stuff coming up. You stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? Then download Mailbox Money for Life from best-selling author and retirement planning specialist Tony Walker. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
So the question is, why don't you spend more money? I've been asking this question for decades, and now all of a sudden everybody else is starting to ask the question. Great article. It's actually a study. Investments and Wealth Monitor, reprinted from an article in July of 2018 called The Decumulation Paradox by Todd Taylor, Nick Halen, and Delang Wang. Why are retirees not spending more, it says? Well, I've been asking that question for years, and we have that solution. The solution is you have to position your money to spend it. And at the same time, make sure you have investments in place that can guarantee, I didn't say speculate, guarantee that you'll never run out of money. We do this all the time for people. Now, let me share a couple things with you. All right. So basically, folks, in an unpredictable world, you've got to position money into 4 different categories in your mind, okay, in your mind's eye. This is what I do with people when I meet with them on the first time. I'm trying to figure out, what do they need money for now? Just the bare basics. These would be your main expenses. It could be, your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance, your car taxes, your basic food, your basic shelter needs, your basic maintenance, gasoline for your car. Those are things, Aaron, that you and Jessica would have every day. You with me?
Right.
And you total that up. Okay, we've got to come up with money for that now. And the problem is, what I worry about is, since people don't have basic savings in place, can you imagine a lot of people right now that are out of work? They need money now. And some people, unfortunately, don't have it. So that's not good. Now, the next category is need money later. So as you get into the second half of life, folks, you have to have money to replace the income you're making. So you work for a wage, then all of a sudden you retire for a wage. Well, where does that wage come from? It has to come from investments. I call that the best place is mailbox money. It can come from different sources, but that's the need money later. So you have to plan for later and have money segregated into a bucket that you know is going to be used for retirement. The third bucket, or box if you will, is might need money now. Okay, this is what people really forget about. You got your expenses covered, maybe you're saving for retirement, and you're going, oh boy, everything's great. Well, look at what's going on now. With this coronavirus, if you're out of work 4 or 5 weeks, or you got to stay home, right? Or what if you had an emergency? You know, Lacey was involved, my daughter, in an accident. That car I'd given her, it had 200,000 miles on it. That was a great vehicle. Well, she had to replace it. They ain't going to give her any money for that car. The car was 8 years old with 200,000 miles. So fortunately, they had money, right, available that they might need now, which they did because they had to replace that car. And then finally, the money you might need later. This would be money you might need to help your spouse with some health issues, long-term care issues, kids. You know, I'm meeting more and more people. I just met with a client I hadn't seen in a couple of years, came in with a grandchild. I said, hey, who's this little fella? You know, Simon or whatever his name was. And I said, well, what's up with Simon? Well, Simon and his mother, their daughter, live with us now. It's happening more and more.
Right.
Simon is almost like a dependent now, and Simon may need some educational costs covered. You know, if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, a lot of people go to private school. Well, who's going to pay that? This was money that the grandparents never expected to have to come up with. That's money that we might need later. So, folks, when you're working with a retirement specialist, as best we can, what we're trying to do is position money for money you need now. We're talking about you retired or nearing retirement. And again, folks, this show and what we do is really for people retired or nearing retirement. We don't mind talking to young people. My favorite son-in-law, who now, by the way, got his registration, so he's officially an investment advisor or fiduciary. So we got 3 fiduciaries on staff. But anyway, Trey would be happy to try to visit with you if you're a younger person in the first half of life. Really, my specialty, though, what I do with my expertise is work with people at halftime or in the second half of life and help those people develop a game plan so they can have money now, money later, money they might need now, and of course, money they might need later. So that's you. If you're sitting there saying, well, Tony, I'm listening to the show, I'm tired of watching this unpredictable stock market, I realize that I've really never had any kind of written game plan. Maybe you're realizing that these financial products that everybody boasts about that say are the perfect product, which there is no perfect product, by the way, but people acting like these products are going to be your saving grace and you're realizing, hey, they ain't. Well, maybe now is the time to just have a wake-up call, flip the switch and say, you know what, I need a game plan. I need a game plan by somebody that knows what the heck they're doing when it comes to planning for retirement. So that's you. If you're a saver, if you feel like you're one of those people that's a lot more concerned about the return of your money than on it, if you're retired or approaching retirement here in the next couple of years, why don't we talk? There's no cost, no obligation to do so. Incidentally, Aaron, we've even had some phone calls with people. We can do Zoom meetings and all that. If you'd rather meet, through a teleconference, if you're afraid to get out in public, we can arrange that. That's not a problem. But if you want to meet me in either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices, I'd be happy to do that. There is absolutely no cost or obligation. What we do at that first meeting, we'll send you a starter kit, and you'll bring in your information. And all we do for about the first 30 minutes is find out about you, what you're trying to accomplish, and I get everything in order. Then the second meeting, about another 30 minutes, I'll present my findings, provide you the free written game plan that you can take and study. You don't have to rush. There's no hurry here, folks. Don't let everybody rush into a decision. You spent 40 years trying to accumulate this stuff. Don't decide in 4 seconds what you're going to do with it. But anyway, we will help you think through the process, modify the plan. If you like the plan, we'll make it work for you. I can assure you that. I've been doing this a long time, and we are fiduciaries. We're going to do what's in your best interest. So that, if you'd like to get together in person, all you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. And by the way, while you're at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, don't forget to go to the educational opportunities, the blog post of my former workshop that I just did on March 16th, The Ages and Stages of Retirement. We've got the video up for you. I think it'll be helpful. And if you would like to meet in person, again, after watching that, feel free to do so at TonyWalkerFinancial.com or give us a call at 877-499-9255. Well, until next time, you've been listening to the Worry-Free Retirement, but absolutely, if all else fails between now and then, you be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.